Hello, everybody. We'll get started a few minutes after the hour here. He's having a delightful Wednesday.
I am.
Your Wednesday is very short so far.
It's 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
On a Wednesday ahead of you, buddy. We'll give it another moment and we will get started. If you have any items to add, please put those under opens. And if we have, please mark your attendance. That'd be super creepy. I think Jeff might have the second best GitHub ID ever.
I recently changed it too.
I think you're only beat by Sal's ID, which I mistakenly read as sandwich every time. I get hungry.
I do too. That's funny.
All right, folks. Do we have any volunteers that are interested to help us take notes today? Everybody could do their best to assist Emily and myself as we scribble things down during the talk today. That would be much appreciated. If you have any new items to add, please put them under the open section. Do we have any of our section leaders here that are interested in sharing any changes in status, any updates on where they are today? All's going great so far. All right. Well, speaking about our awesome plan, you all can provide feedback to that amazing artifact through our issue 64. We are currently soliciting either comments in the issue or PRs against the text of the plan. So please take some time as the year winds down to provide your thoughts on the full plan as it is written. If you have any suggestions on, hey, a graphic about this topic would be useful, or this point seems unclear, please feel free to provide all that feedback to us. We will be pushing that, giving the plan to the TAC sometime in January. I gave them the open source security incident response teams plan yesterday, and we ran out of time, so we didn't get to talk about it. So I expect that'll get pushed to probably the first or second meeting next year, which would queue up any work we have behind that. So thinking towards the end of January is when the TAC will formally start to consider what we've written down. So you've got a little bit of time. I was remiss. I've skipped my first item. Do we have any new friends here that wanted to introduce themselves and say hello to the team? Dad Grove. Okie doke. This is our last call for 2022. We will be picking back up in the new year. and we will have a new meeting agenda notes form starting then. You can get a preview by clicking the link there. I'll be modifying our Slack channel to have that up at the top, and I've already modified our Git repository to reflect the 2023 meeting notes. So next year, don't pop on and sign on to our document today. Pop on to the other document and sign in, please. Right. We had a update this week. My friends at Intel, there is an internal open source secure development center of excellence. They're called the SARC. And I've been talking with them over the last few months, and we had one of our goals in the plan was to get member companies to potentially donate material. So the SARC team has conferred with their business units and our legal group, and they have agreed that they will be donating content to us next year. Now, this comes with one, not really a catch. It comes with one requirement. They would love for us to tell them like what content we would like. So because they have a pretty large body of it, and internally we're required to go through and scrub it for trademark and copyrights and kind of de-Intelify it. But they are willing to give that to the foundation at no charge. So not only will we have potentially an influx of material, as long as we can identify, here's some areas we would like, we're missing information on C programming best practices, for example. So if we can identify some areas we want content on, they'll be glad to give that to us. And then I'm going to propose a meeting in January where we can sit down and maybe chat with them about what the full library of content is. And looking forward, they're very interested to start collaborating with us on this effort, helping generate content for our plan. Any questions or comments on that? So hopefully we'll have some training materials we can start to leverage next year. And if anyone represents a company that might have internal development materials, if you're interested to ask, your sponsors if they're willing to potentially donate or at least show it to us, as we need to generate a lot of new content, that would be deeply appreciated. Another note, I spoke with the LF education team yesterday, Clyde and Tim, and they are super excited about our plan. And they will start to begin engaging with us. Both gentlemen committed to review the plan and start to provide notes to us. And they will be working with us as we start to more academify the plan. They'll start to help us work on developing learner plans and kind of learner pathways. There's a couple instructional designers on their team, so they'll be willing to assist us as we're ready to create class content. So I'm very excited about the offer of the LF education folks to come in and give us a hand and participate. It'll be, I think, a very good mutually beneficial relationship where they have a certification platform and they have the ability to do badges. So that's a lot of stuff that we can potentially just snap into in some cases. We've talked about working with the SKF team to maybe empower the LF platform with some labs. So I think there's going to be a really good cross collaboration there with that group.
Hey, Karam, I got a quick question.
Yes.
About that. I've been thinking through a lot more of the various initiatives and activities that foundations are taking on, especially with the transparency report starting to be released. Do you know if the Open SSF has a diversity, equality, and inclusion office that can assist in ensuring that the instructional material that's generated is presented in a way that allows for neurodivergent learners or other underrepresented communities within the technology industry to receive that content in a way that best fits them? I've been getting a lot of requests as of late to what kinds of things or resources are available to help uplift, in particular, women in cybersecurity. And we all know that
Just one of our goals.
Yeah, one of the problems with cybersecurity education content is it's very, I don't know, masculine written. And we see that a lot. There's all sorts of scanners on the internet that can prove this to us. So I was curious if there are plans to either have somebody or have an organization come in and assist through LF education, or is this something that we could potentially propose to them?
So I don't know if they have that type of capability. I would think they might. I will take the action item to track that down and ask them. And yes, that very definitely is one of our goals, because we've talked about trying to make the content as inclusive as possible, make it as available to as many different constituents and learners as possible. So I'll take that action item to talk to Clyde and Tim. You don't know off the top of your head, do you, David?
I don't offhand.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a lot of DNI things, but I don't know what I don't know the answer to that specific
Right.
question.
Yeah, so I'll track that down and get back to the group. And I think that's very definitely something. If it isn't reflected in the plan, we want to start to add some items to address that viewpoint, because that is something we had spoken numerous times about. We have goal 3.1. Put that entry in there, and who would like to talk about that?
Oh, that was me.
Hi,
And
Christine.
hello. So this 3.13 and Jay, who's also on the call from Microsoft, we've been chatting quite a bit on ways that we can actually reach underserved communities and security and education, putting that all together, but also trying to close the loop to ensure that even after they go through that training, that there are opportunities available for them. So we've been chatting about how to best tackle this on under, say, OpenSSF. So wanted to bring that to this group for discussions on exactly what you think it should look like. Should it be something that we insert what our current thoughts are in the plan? Or there's also a thought of, after this kind of hopefully goes through TAC, at that point, spin off something to specifically focus on that area. Wasn't sure how to best go about it.
Me either. Again, this is another one of the goals we've stated numerous times, that working with underserved communities, and we've never spoken about specific actions. How, we've talked about we want to give some training, but we've never talked about how do we make that stick? How do we make sure that learners are continue to be successful? So I definitely would be open to other suggestions and ideas. Jay? No, Jay? Aw.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was on mute. To harp on both points, a caveat to both points. Part of the discussion was, and often, and Christine and I both see this, I'm sure everybody else does too, the want to reach out, the want to provide these opportunities, and the want to provide this education, because we all clearly identify that the DE&I initiatives in every organization are great, but we still continue to see a large disparity between the want to outreach and then the actual results of that outreach, right? What's the OKR behind it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
To that end, Christine and I were talking to say, maybe, just maybe, at least, this should be pulled out, and maybe with a small group of us focus on that as like a sub SIG to the SIG. I don't really know how that part works, but I do know that if we can pull it out and make it a focus, we can get some kind of traction on it, because there's a small subset of us that are doing nothing but that, rather than taking that whole breadth of what the education SIG is trying to do, and that's a part of it. We can pull that out and make that something that's a win for the OpenSSF in general, because the OpenSSF in general, not just the education SIG has it in there, but the OpenSSF and the LF have, as part of the agenda, a large DE&I outreach to reach more underrepresented communities and to reach more individuals. So we could actually help accomplish that by maybe pulling something out and having a small group of us focus on nothing but that. And that way, to not detract from the other items under the Education SIG's agenda, we can then begin to reach to the LF, reach to the Open SSF at large, hell, even reach out to other foundations and kind of build those connective tissues to maybe further this agenda and make a win for everybody here.
Lost my pen, I'm sorry. No, so this is open source. If we can dream it, we can make it happen. So I have absolutely no problems if we wanted to create kind of a subcommittee, subgroup, so to speak, that focused on this and then reached out beyond the SIG's walls, so to speak. I would absolutely endorse that. And that's actually kind of the intention of the plan. The plan is designed to be modular so that wherever people have interest and passion, they can continue to contribute. They don't necessarily, if you don't care about talking to large universities, that ideally is taken care of by somebody else fulfilling the plan. And if you have particular passion areas that you have expertise and a motivation to really focus your time on, that's absolutely kind of how we wanted this to work. So, if we want, I would be glad to help work to facilitate, to create kind of a DNI style subcommittee for this group. I can get you guys set up with Zoom meetings, and we can carve off a spot of the repo to have conversations. We have the ability to use discussions, and that was another thought I had as Christine was talking, is maybe we create a discussion so that people can kind of converse asynchronously about this outside of a meeting note or the plan itself. That gives us a space we can collab. But let me know how you would like support, and I'm glad to help try to make that happen for you, to provide your resources and time to make that happen.
Yeah, yes to all of that. I think a good next step then, meet Christine and Max. I saw you there, Max. Thanks for that. And then anyone else who wants to be part of the conversation, let's have a quick meet and discuss how we could best utilize Crobe's help, and then reach back out to the SIG, reach back out to Crobe, and get the resources we need to make it happen. 2023 is going to be a good year.
And I also can reach out in parallel to the TAC and Brian to see from their perspectives what resources we have available to us specific to the DNI topic. Emily.
Yeah, I was actually just going to ask, when you do reach out around the DE&I topic, it would be beneficial to understand what are the existing outreach efforts that the LF and specifically OpenSSF have already engaged in, and what do those programs look like, as well as what is potentially a path to leverage some of the existing body of work or to help influence it in a way that assists us in driving more uplift within these communities. And then a follow on to that would be, what are their plans within the next upcoming year to close the gap between outreach and community building and actually connecting participants with potential employers and giving them those experiences and opportunities to help make it stick. Because while we can read and we can do a lot of hands-on learning, but sometimes that real world and hands-on experience is the hardest thing for a lot of folks to get, especially if they're mid-career and switching into cybersecurity or into tech. So if they have plans or if they already work with an organization to do something like that, collecting some of that information can help drive a lot more of these discussions.
And if we're interested in sponsoring a mentorship program, for example, or if we want to help the foundation members encourage to focus in on those underserved communities for hiring, we could definitely put that into our proposal or have that as part of our conversations as we start to engage with the governing board.
And if I could interject real quick, it's Eddie Knight here. Yes. Hey guys. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about, we keep mentioning that we're gonna, or at least definitely every time Sal's on the call, we keep mentioning that we're gonna try to integrate as much of this with Major League Hacking as we can. And something that kind of is a bright ray of sunshine for this whole conversation that we just had for the last few minutes. Major League Hacking has all of that stuff built in. So any of the stuff that we do overlap with them in, they're already just like extremely successful at reaching the underserved communities, getting underserved people into career pipelines, things like that is already just really built in. So we can learn a lot from that. Max is on the call, so he can +1 anything from that. But that's just a little ray of sunshine for anything that we do overlap with MLH.
So, Jay and Christine, since you started this topic, do you want to schedule some calls before the end of this calendar year, or do you want to defer to January?
Just depends. I know I'm available. I think Jay is also available, and it just depends on Max and whoever else would be interested.
Jay only has a couple more hours left in this year, I heard.
Oh, really?
What as I said to you, Crow, look, but for the purposes of getting stuff done, you can always reach out. If it's important enough, I'll jump on anything. Please, for the love of God, make it so that I'll be in Vegas this weekend, people. If you reach out, perfect. just keep in mind of the kind of mindset I'll be in. Goodness gracious. But for this, I'm available. So please, by all means.
So I will take the action to make a doodle poll and send out to our SIG mailing list. Please feel free to shoot that out to anyone else you feel would be interested or able to contribute to that topic. And we will try to get something set up in the next couple days, ideally. And if we are not able to execute on having a time, we at least will have a list of potential contributors that would like, and people that are enthusiastic to help on this particular focus topic. But I'll get that doodle set up in between now and my next call.
That all sounds great, folks, and you know, Eddie and Christian appreciate the shout outs as well. Very rare that I get called anything like a ray of light. Usually it's quite the opposite. What I love that I've heard in this conversation is the maturity about the focus of DEI, right? You know, it isn't just specific protected groups. There's everything, you know, from career changes to neurodiversity to all of the typical URGs in tech. I think the other thing is the scope. So, you know, part one, reach. How do we get to people who might want to do this training? Two, how do we make sure the training is accessible and engaging for those groups? And three, how do we ensure outcomes after the training, right? Doing any of those things in isolation is kind of pointless. You need to put that whole track together. So wonderful to hear that. Yeah, really pleased. I think particularly kind of part one and part three, you know, MLH are pretty uniquely positioned for a lot of that as well. So yeah, very excited for those conversations.
Excellent. And more directly to your point, Christine, in the agenda, if we have specific actions we want to kind of bake into the plan, we have that opportunity now. The plan is still in flux. So if we have specific actions or outcomes we're looking for, let's put some items into the plan and we can start to flesh that out so that we are showing that we're, you know, committed to moving down this path of better inclusion.
Yeah, that sounds good. So if we were able to do the meeting within the next few days or so, then we'll be able to put it into the plan before your deadline.
I'll do my best. And even if we needed to modify it afterwards, I don't feel there's, especially if it's like volunteer based, like, you know, I volunteered to help participate in a mentorship program. So it's all volunteer type stuff. I don't think that would be a boggle amending the plan afterwards.
Gotcha.
Now, if there was costs, that's a whole different story. If we had to buy something or pay someone, that's different.
Krub, I wanted to point out that because of the expansiveness of this focus that needs to be included within the plan, it looks like we'll need to add it into sections 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
I don't know that I will have time to create stub placements for it, but if the results of that group come up with some standard language that we can create to support this, that gives us enough ambiguity and that we can change or adjust implementation as we need to, that would be great over specificity, because if we're too specific now, it may hamstring us later on.
Agreed. All right, so I will get the doodle set up I will get Max. I'll get you a link to the mailing list here shortly. It's on our Git repo on our main page. Does anyone have any additional topics or comments on this topic that they would like to bring to the group's attention? This is our mailing list I posted into the Zoom chat. It's under the Get Involved section of our landing page. All right. Well, much to my chagrin, I've ended up with a pile of ARs. So if there is no other topics, I will start to working down that list. And first thing will be the doodle meeting around the proposed and accepted idea around a diversity subcommittee. Talking, David?
Yes, and now I've learned to push the unmute button. So Crow, now that you've failed the meeting because you ended up with an action item,
Worst.
Yeah, that's the worst.
I didn't get paid for this.
I believe there are a couple things that you want people to finish up reviewing. So maybe you should share the URLs that you want to dump on us to for those last reviews. And I realize I'm intentionally failing the meeting by asking for an action item. But hey,
I'll share the love.
Coincidentally, David,
Yes.
the issue number 64 has the link to the plan in it.
Excellent.
It does. And again, please read the plan. If you have comments or general feedback, put it into this issue. If you have specific requested changes, submit those as PRs, and you can link back to the issue there as well if you desire, so that we can start to move this forward, move it closer to our finish line.
Right. But I know that you want feedback by 23 December. So I thought I would just point it out now and we can all take a look.
Yeah, I posted a link into our Zoom chat. I'll dump it into our Slack channel again. And I'm around till the middle of next week. So if anyone needs anything, please let me know. Look for a doodle invite here shortly. If you are not on the mailing list currently, if you want to put your email address into the agenda here, so I will make sure I add you manually to the doodle poll.
Okay.
Any other items for discussion? All right. Thank you all. I really appreciate your ideas and your collaboration. Very excited about how this plan is coming together. And thank you all. Looking forward to continue to read with you next year. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.